Welcome to another episode of Out of Bounds, a podcast where I give my social commentary on different topics in today's society. I'm your host, Terry, and today, talking about helicopter parents. So if you listened to some of my stuff before, then you will know one of the things that I'm really passionate about is the idea of parenting and how important a role parents play in a child's life. And so there's so many topics within that, discussion that I could talk about, but the one that comes to mind right now specifically is helicopter parents or tiger parents or Wolverine parents, crouching tiger, hidden dragon parents. I don't know what they call them now, but the parents that try to do too much for their child or try to do everything for their child and just try to make them feel like they do nothing wrong. These parents are the worst, in my opinion. And I think, well, I won't say it's factual, it's an opinion, but it's just terrible. It really is annoying. Now, I'm not comparing this to absentee, neglectful parents or any of that stuff. Of course not. But when you're talking about active, involved parents, one of the worst things you could do is just over coddle your child. And so I deal with this a lot. I've dealt with this a lot everywhere that I kind of work within the education world, of course. But then now working in a higher ed side and having to work with admissions, I see it so much. And it's just become worse and worse. And I would have to acknowledge my own bias at the very beginning to say that I had the very opposite type parents. And so, yes, I'm going to speak from my point of view as far as what I think is optimal for parents to do and thinking about how those challenges help me develop in certain areas. And it's not all positives, of course. There's downfalls to it, too, as far as parents just kind of being not neglectful, but, a little bit more absent. However, like most things, there's a balance that you can strike. And so while I am speaking from my point of view, I can speak to what I've seen and how it plays out in real world examples, whether that be in the high school side or whether that be on the higher ed side. But mainly on the higher ed side, it's important because it's not as structured as high school. There's nobody that's watching you. You are treated as an adult once you get to college. And not only from what I know about college before I got there, also what I went through when I was there, and then what I see as I work there, I can say that it's gotten worse. And of course, you had people that were spoiled. It was just like you're a spoiled kid. Now, though, it's more the norm than anything. And that can speak to the type of population we got here, too. But even in Chicago, when I didn't work, for wealthy families, you still had a lot of parents that coddled their children. And so what it results in is you have students that just cannot function on their own. They have no ability to advocate for themselves, and they have no real problem solving skills or critical thinking skills. So for me, example, like I said, I wasn't treated that way really. And so even me, when I got to college, I had to learn how to advocate for myself, and I had to learn how to seek resources and do all these things as an adult. However, I did have the inclination to figure it out, the willingness to say, okay, I got to figure it out so I can continue to move on, so I can survive, move to the next, whatever. These students don't have that. So it's not like we're expecting them to come in knowing all these things, but you have to have that desire fostered in you to want to learn, to figure out how to learn, and really just how to survive in the space that you're around. And these students have no clue. And it just astounds me. I remember I was walking this past week, actually. I was walking back towards my office or to the Office of Admissions, and it was a family that was visiting for the day, and it was a son and his mother. And I could just see him, like, they stopped right before they got to the entrance, and he's just like, he's trying to turn around. He's like, no, whatever, let's just go home, whatever. And she's like, no, you need to talk to a admissions counselor. And he'd rather go home than actually talk. And then he's just like, Mom, what am I supposed to say? She's like, no, go to the front desk and talk to him. Well, what am I supposed to say? And she had to give him the whole script in order for him to go do it. Now, that's more than some parents do. I give her credit at least making him follow through with it. A lot of parents that I see are the ones that just go up to the desk and do it for them. They're like, oh, you don't want to do it? Okay, I'll do it for you. And, especially these high school prospective students, their parents are doing so much for them, they have no idea what to do. And so we get to events where they're admitted students or whatever, they come to campus and they want to put their enrollment deposit down, or they want to just find something out. And you'll be like, okay, well, what's your ID number? Or what's your password? And I get it. You don't know your new ID number yet because you don't use it a lot, but you should be able to find it. And if it's your password, you definitely need to know that. And then you won't believe, I would say 8 times out of 10, you ask a student that, it's like, hold on, let me ask my mom, or they'll go grab their mom or their dad, or they'll text their mom or their dad, like, hey, what's my password? What's my username? What's my ID? And it's just like, dude, like, you gotta grow up at some point. You have to know this. And again, you'll figure it out eventually, but you coming in 2 steps behind when your parents are doing everything. And so then, even when I'm looking at registrations for events, and you can just tell by the way they fill out stuff that it's the parent filling it out. And so it blows my mind, because you get some students in here like, what are you interested in studying? And they'll look to their parents like, what are you looking at them for? It's your degree. You're the one that's going to be studying. And so it just kind of blows my mind to think about how far back these students are going to be when they get here. Because I was also a resident assistant RA for 3 years. And so it's not like I just, had my little experience on college and then did my own thing. No, my whole college career, I was around, emerging students from freshman through, sophomore year. And to see how a lot of them came in really just not behind the 8 ball, but there's a lot that you have to adjust to. And this was years ago. So I can only imagine what it is like now when you got parents that just do everything. They go crazy. They call our office. They say crazy things. They go nuts over their parents. You would not believe the stuff we get. Sometimes we'll get parents calling. And I've heard this before, like my own ears. Parents call, say, hey, my son or my daughter is such and such. They live here. Is there someone I could talk to make sure that they're hanging out with friends, or someone that I could talk to make sure that they're being social? And it's like, what? Like, what are you doing? Some of these parents, I swear, would come down here and live with their children if we allowed it. And even as an RA, I used to get some stuff, like you get people like always wanting your number, parents like, so can I get your number so I could call you directly to check? No, you cannot. Let your child grow up. And look, I'm not a parent. I'm definitely scared to have a child and to think about them growing up. But even I understand that the alternative is worse. To hold them back, they're just going to go crazy. And I've seen what going crazy looks like in college. But even going back to the high school side, you just are creating a generation of young adults that do not know how to function. They do not know how to move around and navigate their environment and the social space because they're used to their parents doing everything for them. And I'm not talking about parents that want to get their child involved in a bunch of different things and all that. That's a different conversation. I'm talking about the parents that feel the need to do stuff for them, and so they can, have an easy time and not struggle. Struggle is okay. Struggle is necessary to grow. They have to learn and, fail for themselves so that they can learn to succeed the next time around. And there's some parents, and maybe it's out of love, maybe it's out of ego, I'm not sure. But you got so many parents now that feel like, no, it's my job to make sure my child never has an issue ever. And I just have to stand in front of any obstacle that might come their way and shield them. And your child's going to be worse off for it. That's all I can say about it. All right. So anyway, just wanted to talk about that, but I'd like to hear what everybody else think. Go to the comment section, thumbs up, subscribe, share it around. And thank you for listening.